So, this is going to be a little long, but I'll try to keep things short. I live in a small town where everyone knows everyone, so there's not many people you can really interchange for friend groups. I met this one guy that had a lot of the same interests as me back in 2017. Me and him were always with our friend group, and we were all pretty close. One thing that always pissed me off about him was how he acted towards me. He always seemed to not want to help me with anything at all, but if anyone else asked him for help, he would drop everything and be there ASAP. He also did this over stuff he offered to do for me. He cleans cars for work and offered to clean mine one time, so I said sure. About 3 months after that, he still hadn't cleaned my car, but cleaned everyone else's, then just asked if I could do it myself if he gave me the supplies to do it, so I said sure, then he never gave me the supplies to do it. It's always seemed like he's just been hella fake with me for no reason. Fast forward to 3 months ago, after COVID, our friend group kind of went our own ways, and he messaged me out of nowhere for the first time in a long time, and he was saying he feels lonely and like he's alone and he wants a friend to hang out with. So I went over that night and we had a good time, and he said I could come over whenever. After about a month of hanging with him every day, his old behavior towards me started to come back after I had done the brakes on his car, and he started randomly walking into his room and going to bed midday while we were hanging out. So he just leaves me there in the screen room with his girlfriend and her friend when he asks me to come hang out. So, since his girlfriend doesn't want to sit inside all day, me and her started being friends and hanging out together more. And she likes to do pretty much everything I like, and she even drove me 'cause I wanted an Apple Watch that was cheap, but it was too far away for just me to go. So since we have just been letting him sit home alone, he has started to get extremely jealous of me, but we always invite him to come get food or come to the beach. Yes, he maybe is excited to come at first, but once we're about to walk out the door, he suddenly wants to stay home, watch movies, and play Xbox. It's been over a month that he started getting jealous, and me and his girlfriend don't flirt, all we really do is just talk about our days after work. So, a few days ago me and her had planned to go do one of the big hiking trails at the public park, and he said he didn't want to go walking. So when I got there that day, he woke up when I came in around 1 p.m. As soon as he woke up, he walks out, looks at his girlfriend, and says, "Wow, I just woke up and he's already here." She goes, "Yeah, we had this planned since yesterday. If you woke up when I told you to at 11, we could have cuddled." So we stormed off into his room and we left. The hike went well, even though we started to get lost for a minute. It took us almost an hour to complete it. After, we went to get pulled pork sandwiches and headed to their house. When we got there, she went to check on him and he went back to sleep after we left. So, she let him sleep for another half hour, then woke him up. He came out in the same shit mood, just grabbed something to drink, and went back to his room. She asked if he was hungry and he said he wanted McDonald's, so we drove to McDonald's, but it took a little longer since there was a big crowd in the drive-thru. This seemed to piss him off more, and he texted her on her way back saying, "I'm gonna stay the night at my parents' tonight." So I and her sat there, ate his McDonald's, and just talked for a bit. We're both stoners, so to cheer her up we got a blunt to smoke since we were just chilling. The blunt must have boosted both of our confidences or something, because the convo went from normal and friendly to very intimate really fast. Then, when there was a bit of awkward silence, she looks at me and says, "Wanna fight?" And I replied with, "Let's go then, lead the way," and she stood up and said, "Are you serious right now?" I also stood up and said, "Yep." She walked past me and I followed her straight into the bedroom. As soon as we made eye contact, it felt like a switch went off. I pulled her close, started kissing her, and feeling her body. It wasn't long before we ripped each other's clothes off and were screwing like animals in her bed. We had a few rounds before I decided to head back to town to have an alibi for the night. I sat and talked with a friend while I was still texting her. After a while she said she wouldn't mind a second meet-up with me. As soon as I read the text from her, my friend said he was heading home, so I told her to meet me at this little parking lot halfway between our houses. When I got there, we both hopped in her back seat and slowly started undressing each other again. Now this was screwing like animals. She was screaming my name and scratching my back and letting me have my way with her. The car was so hot and we were both dripping with sweat, but we didn't care at all, and when I got close she pushed me back and swallowed it all. We sat there for an hour just joking around and cuddling before we decided to head home. It was honestly the most passionate sex I've ever had in my life.